Well, the second phase definitely starts off with an explosive chapter, and man, just really has me itching for more and more.
Naruto number 46. The password. What is the password?
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and perspective tune-in of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure and action-packed tale of Naruto. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with finishing off Volume 5, that being the last chapter, and of course the first chapter, I guess, introduction to the second phase in the Forest of Death. They kind of laid down the ground rules, showed us some of the teams that were preparing, and then, of course, at the end of it, everybody was preparing to enter, on the signal for this 5-day, just crazy hell games sort of deal, man. That's how the chapter left off. That's where this chapter picks up. Of course, right here, and this is great diving into Volume 6. The artwork on the cover is beautiful. I really enjoy it, and to tell you the truth, the action scenes are laid out and depicted so well by Kishimoto. As I've been reading some of the kind of in-between things they have in the chapters over here, was explaining and how he lays things out and does the layouts and the thumbnails to really get everything going and keep the action flowing, and he uses uses mental images for camera angles as if he was a director. And I'm sure that this is something that's common to many mangakas, or comic book illustrators out there. However, the way he talked about it and broke it down as a fellow artist, it makes a lot of sense. And believe it or not, a lot of artists don't understand how to do that and don't understand what is necessary, what's unnecessary, what you can remove at the end of the day. So very cool stuff, though. Anyway, this gets right into it. Okay, we wind up seeing that the exam has started, and we see that this one team that's kind of like hiding in the trees and trying to go and spy on this other team. They're like, we don't think anybody knew, and blah blah. And all of a sudden, the one dude that's kind of hanging down is like, what the hell? Pulls his shirt up, and he's got this freaking leech that's on him, man. And apparently, these are the so-and-so leeches, blood leeches of Konoha Village. And I guess these things, they can kind of like, they kind of like smell perspiration and sort of like just, I guess kind of like when you're like sneaking and trying to be quiet and whatnot, you just sort of have like a certain like smell. They're like attracted to you, right? And they go and they're like, if you don't get them, you can't freak out. If you try to run from them, it's death. If you don't get these things off in like 5 minutes, it's death. And anyway, they wind up getting trapped then in this net and what have you. And we see Anko from outside, and he's like, well, that was fast. There's already a team that's been taken out, right? And just really cool the way everything is done in this forest. And you knew that there was going to be some crazy shit going on in the forest, right? The main portion of this chapter, though, and again, just very action-packed in the sense that it really keeps you moving. The panels flow real well. The explanation and the exposition is great. And we wind up seeing, of course, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, their cell. And as they're walking through the forest, Naruto, he's got to take a leak, right? And Sakura's like, don't piss in front of me, dude. Come on, I'm a lady. And then she's like, but it was okay. It's okay if I see Sasuke's dick, though, right? That's no big deal. And that's what she actually thinks to herself. Naruto goes off to take a piss. He comes back, and Sasuke immediately just boom, just goes and runs right through him, lays him out type of deal. And and Sakura's like, yeah, thanks for defending my honor and all that stuff about the going to pee in front of me, but what's the deal? And he's like, you're an imposter, you're not Naruto. And Naruto's like, what are you talking about? It's me. And he's like, no, bullshit, it's not you. Naruto's right-handed. Why are you wearing your shuriken on the left side of your belt, right? Obviously you wouldn't do that if you're left-handed. You wouldn't cross over. It takes longer to do that and to pull out. And what about the the slash that he got on his cheek from Anko just maybe a half an hour prior or whatever, for that's not there either. So this dude winds up kind of, okay, fine, the lipstick has come off the pig. You've found out my disguise, and we don't really know who this dude is. He's just some dude's got like this respirator looking thing over his mouth. So I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if he grew up in a plastic bubble. He can't breathe our air. Who knows? Maybe he comes from a small polluted area of this world. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, though, he winds up trying to attack, and there's certainly some back and forth, some battling between him and Sasuke, and it actually looks like he might have the upper hand at first anyway, and then the real Naruto goes and winds up coming in and throwing a kunai and actually helping, and you get Sasuke like, yeah, late as always, well, yeah, he was pissing off in the woods, or maybe he wound up getting hit and knocked out by this guy, I don't know.
Anyways, as the fight goes on, we wind up having Sasuke does a cool thing where he goes and actually uses chakra to hold kunai at the bottom of his foot, so when he goes and runs and does this move, he's able to go and whip that at him. Nonetheless, they're able to go and kind of fight him off and get him away. He kind of just disappears and retreats. This particular individual thought that coming in by himself under a disguise like that, he'd be able to go ahead and get the actual scroll, because then once he goes, he figures Naruto wouldn't have it. You know, everybody kind of thinks he's a joke for the most part that knows about him, so he assumed that Sasuke or Sakura had it, and then of course once he was found out, was like, just give me the scroll. Nonetheless, didn't work out. He gets chased off. He's probably going to come back in force with the rest of his cell. But then we go and they get attacked by, there's like a mysterious, kind of like an explosion or what have you, it seems like, and everybody's kind of spread out again, you know. Prior to that happening, though, we get Sasuke goes and comes up with a great thing. He says, listen, we really have to be able to tell each other apart from each other. And this reminded me of like One Piece in Alabasta, when Mr. Two Bon Clay, when they discovered him and they knew that he could just put on anybody's face and their body and everything too, and they wound up going and putting the armbands on, and then underneath the armbands actually putting an X as well. This is very clever because, and it's very similar in that sense, because Sasuke goes and he says, listen, we need to come up with something like a password or something like that. So they're like, okay, what's it going to be? So he comes up with this thing, this poem, this ninja poem called Ninki, and he goes and he says it, he repeats it in this big long, it's like 3 verses or something, you know, 3 or 4 lines, you know, it's something that I didn't memorize just from reading it, and I wound up seeing it 3 or 4 times pop up in the chapter. So Sakura's like, Naruto's like, how the hell am I supposed to remember that, right? And Sakura's like, oh yeah, well, you're an idiot, I already got it, you know. Nonetheless, though, the point of this that I thought was really cool was obviously so they can tell each other apart if there is actually somebody that tries to go and pull an okie doke on them again and clone one of them, you know, and come in as a doppelganger, a clone, whatever, right? So we wind up getting this, it looks like some sort of explosion. They're attacked by some sort of, some ninja, and then wind up, we don't really see, but they're split apart, right? And as they're split apart, they wind up coming back together. Sasuke first finds Sakura and says, hey, hold on a second, wait, what's the password? So she goes and repeats the Ninki, you know, and she says this thing and blah, 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 and this and that, and he's like, okay, good, right? Then all of a sudden, we get Naruto goes and shows up, right? And Naruto shows up and he's like, wait, hold on a second, what's the password? And he goes, oh, the Ninki, this and that, right? So he winds up going in and saying it perfectly. Sasuke, and this should have been like Sasuke attacked Naruto chapter. That's what it should have been called, or clones of him, whatever. Sasuke goes and whips a kunai at him, right? And it's deflected. The attack is deflected and pushed away. And Sakura's like, what the hell? He said the thing, you know? Sasuke's a smart dude, right? He was thinking. He goes, the whole reason I came up with that is I wanted to come up with something, because the whole time that he said this, he was aware that one of the people from the grass hat, what is this? I think that is, yeah, here we go. Yeah, the grass ninja trio, the mysterious Kusanin, right? One of those dudes with the wide-brimmed Raiden hats or whatever was actually waiting under, and I don't know if it was water or sand or something like that, was under with a little air hose that was popping out while he was doing this, so they were listening in, and he knew that, right? So he did something, he put together a password that would be so difficult to do, because he figured they're always going to go for the weak link, Naruto, right? Or at least I guess that's what he thought. And it was really genius the way he came up with it, because he knew somebody was listening in, so he came up with something that was so hard to remember that he knew Naruto's dumbass couldn't remember it, right? Naruto's got other skills, but book smarts and like memorization and shit of like long verses, they're not on the platter, you know, they're not on the menu for him. That's not what he lists on his resume as far as skills. So it was, again, it was cool to see it. It's kind of ingenious by Sasuke, because he's able to, and he goes, and not to mention, all of a sudden you can deflect my attacks, whereas Naruto wouldn't have been able to deflect that type of attack. But he already knew from the way it was, you know, spit out perfectly without hesitation that it wasn't Naruto, right? So very cool stuff again, and we wind up seeing that this was one of the ones from the Kusanin, from that trio over there, and that was, remember, one of those dudes. This one's the long black-haired dude. The other one with the long tongue, I have no idea. Maybe that's the one that attacked or whatever to kind of get them to split apart and then bring back together. So they're probably working together, I'm assuming. So maybe it was one of those other ones in that cell, and they look badass too. So these are people not to be effed with, you know. They look like next level stuff. But anyway, I'm thinking that one of them wound up going and breaking them apart, and then they were able to go and switch out for Naruto for the other one that was listening in and knows the Ninki and whatnot. So nonetheless, though, the chapter ends with basically like, hey, shit's about to go down, you know. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, it was, and it don't say shit's about to go down, but, you know, that's implied, I guess. implied by the end of the chapter, because we've got Sasuke over here and just like, I see, you know, watch and wait then. This is going to be more fun than I thought, you know. So we know it's about to go down between Sasuke and possibly the one dude, but I'm assuming that their whole cell is around, so I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty cool battle going forward. But man, this is good stuff. Chapter question, that's how the chapter, you know, ends off, obviously. Chapter question, though, for you is really, I guess, what are your thoughts on Sasuke and how perceptive he is? It kind of, it reminds me almost of like that sixth sense that like Gon has in Hunter x Hunter, where he just kind of like senses things and just knows things. He's very perceptive and notices things are wrong. Because even Sakura, as smart as she is and as heady and book smart, she didn't pick up on the stuff with the scratch not being on the slice not being on Naruto's cheek, and of course the you know, the shuriken being on the wrong side of his belt and everything else. And she certainly didn't pick up on what he was putting down as far as the password thing. He didn't have time to explain it to everybody, and obviously because there was somebody listening, it wouldn't have done any good. But what are your thoughts on Sasuke so far? He seems like he's a very headstrong, very sharp, very smart, acute, intuitive leader. And that's kind of where I'm going with this right now. So Naruto's cool, but he's kind of a wild card, you know. You never really know what you're going to get with him. Nonetheless, though, let me know what your thoughts are, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and even my other channel right now. Do it now.